Hello, and welcome to the first of 3 videos looking at American general strikes with the purpose of talking about what we'll need for a future one. The first general strike we're going to be looking at is the 1892 New Orleans General Strike. We begin in the summer of 1892 in New Orleans. During this period, several AFL-affiliated unions were organized, bringing the total to about 49 unions by summer's end. All of these unions were united, each represented by 2 delegates in the Working Men's Amalgamated Council. 3 of these unions, the Round Freight Teamsters and Loaders Union, Warehousemen and Packers Protective Union, and the Scalemen's Union, were known as the Triple Alliance, with the Teamsters representing a large number of black workers. Employers also had their own council, the Board of Trade, which represented merchants and employers related to several industries including agriculture and the 4 railroads. So organizing a union during this period was much easier than it is today, for various reasons I'll get into in a future video. But the reason I want to focus on today is that these workers understood the importance of a union, why they needed one in the first place. Today, many working people have never been in a union or might not know someone who is a union member. Many people don't personally know the benefits of collective bargaining or the job protections that come with union representation. Despite that, a Gallup poll shows that nearly 2/3 of Americans approve of unions, including almost half of all Republicans. Rapid unionization within a community is still kind of possible. It's just considerably harder. It's going to be on us to turn that approval rate into a high rate of union membership by talking with our coworkers about unions and countering anti-union propaganda. Because capitalists are organized, just like I mentioned above, and the only way to beat them is for the working class to be organized into unions. On October 24, 1892, the Board of Trade refused to grant the demands of the members of the Triple Alliance, and 2,000 to 3,000 of these workers walked out. They wanted the preferential union shop, the 10-hour day, and overtime pay. The Triple Alliance was supported by the Working Men's Amalgamated Council, who pledged that every AFL union would go out on strike to support it if necessary. The Board of Trade attempted to split the Triple Alliance along racial lines, stating that they would enter an agreement with the Scalemen and Packers, but not with the Teamsters because they did not want to enter any agreement with. Most of the unionized black workers were members of the Teamsters. The local press soon joined in the campaign as well. They published rumors that mobs of unionized black strikers were attacking whites. The Scalemen and Packers ignored the press and refused to sign an agreement without the Teamsters. Solidarity is powerful. Union members know that. Capitalists do too. The first thing they will always try to do is divide the workers, divide the strikers. Historically, race has always been the go-to way to divide workers, but employers will also attempt to play skilled workers against unskilled workers or play unions against one another. This is one of the biggest drawbacks to craft unionism and why we should pursue industrial unionism and the one big union. The press will join in too. They will try to divide working people by any means necessary, including reported unfounded rumors. It will be important for working people to ignore these rumors and counter them with our own information networks. We will need to counter any misinformation that seeks to divide us swiftly and soundly. That will be much easier in this day and age thanks to the internet, where people can stream and upload videos countering any narrative that seeks to divide strikers. Soon, AFL unions began to call for a general strike, with polling confirming that a majority of members supported the action. On November 8th, a general strike was declared. 49 AFL unions walked out demanding shorter hours, higher wages, union recognition, and the closed shop. A closed shop is where an employer agrees to only hire union members, and union membership is required to remain employed. Some, such as the printers and streetcar unions, even broke their collective bargaining contracts to participate in the strike. For the next 4 days, New Orleans was shut down. Businesses were closed and lights were shut off. New Orleans was in complete darkness. This is the type of situation we will want to avoid. We do not want whole communities in darkness because people need electricity, and I'm not just talking about for comfort. Which, by the way, comfort is important in keeping people's morale up so they will want to continue striking. In addition to that, we are going to need refrigeration for food and heating for homes, just to name a couple of things. Perhaps, strikers could only give power to strikers' homes, buildings for mutual aid, fire stations, and hospitals. We could keep capitalists in the dark, though. Any non-essential business could be shut for the duration of the event. You know, like what should be happening right now. In one last vain attempt, the press attempted to divide the strikers along racial lines by printing that black strikers were insulting women and school children and preparing to take over the city. Once again, white strikers continued to stand in solidarity with black strikers. During this strike, union membership increased and a couple of new unions were formed. Most importantly, the strike was peaceful. So peaceful, in fact, that when Governor Foster called out the state militia at the request of the capitalists, he chose to remove soldiers on his own accord. Once that failed, the capitalists had no choice but to go to the bargaining table. With the strike peaceful, the governor of Louisiana couldn't justify having the state militia there. We probably won't be able to count on that. The National Guard today would likely occupy the city while protecting scabs, trucks, businesses, and any other resources necessary to end the strike. We'll see that tactic used in one of the next general strike videos. They would also confront any protests within cities with force, much like we saw last year in cities like Portland. Don't get me started on militias and other non-law enforcement anti-general strike folks. We'll talk about them in the next two videos. After much negotiation, the strikers won a wage adjustment, the 10-hour day, and overtime pay. Other unions won wage increases and hour reductions as well. In the following months, the employers filed a suit against 44 union leaders in an attempt to get revenge against the unions. They claimed that the leaders had violated the Sherman Antitrust Act, the first time the law had been applied to unions. A temporary injunction was filed against the leaders, but the Working Men's Council appealed to a higher court. In the end, the case was postponed indefinitely and dismissed. As I said in the previous video, organizers face legal consequences after they organize a general strike. Even though in this situation the federal government eventually dropped the charges, future organizers won't be so lucky, especially if they are leftists. While the Triple Alliance was unable to win the coveted preferential union shop, the strike was still largely a success. It demonstrated an instance where white union members did not sell out black union members, and skilled workers did not sell out unskilled workers. All strikers stood in solidarity, though we'll see how long that lasted when I cover the late 19th century. The 1892 New Orleans General Strike is not particularly well known, and historians have debated its success over the past century. But I think one of the most important points we can take away from this strike is solidarity. The scalemen and packers could have made agreements with the Board of Trade and thrown the Teamsters to the wolves. But no matter how much the press encouraged them to, they didn't abandon the Teamsters, even the black ones. They understood that victory would not be achieved until capitalists went to the negotiation table with all workers, and that's the type of solidarity we'll need to have a general strike. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned a thing or two about general strikes, why not like and share? Subscribe if you want to learn more about labor history and so you'll know when the next video comes out. Next time we'll be covering another American general strike. Anyway, until next time, see ya.